I would consider myself a Transformers fanboy. I know, that's not exactly an exclusive club. I grew up with them as my favorite toys. It was my favorite cartoon. I used to run a Transformers online RPG group. Yeah, I'm a nerd. I have Transformers tattoos and Transformers posters on my wall at home. And yet, I mostly despised the Michael Bay live action movies, which are all pretty damn terrible. For me, there are only 3 good Transformers movies out there. The original 1986 Transformers the movie, hallelujah. Travis Knight's Bumblebee in 2018. And now Transformers 1, which is simply phenomenal. The skepticism was thick on my part too. Promos for Transformers 1 suggested a buddy comedy set on the planet Cybertron, even going so far as to cast Chris Hemsworth as Orion Pax / Optimus Prime, and Brian Tyree Henry as D16 / Megatron. Is that really how we want to depict the relationship between these two eternal rivals? It seemed like a cheap gimmick, and probably under different guidance, it would have been. But director Josh Cooley of Toy Story 4 fame and writer Eric Pearson of Thor Ragnarok are better than that. Transformers 1 combines humor, nostalgia to present the Autobot-Decepticon conflict in a fresh way that asks us to re-examine our thoughts about something we think we already know. Transformers 1 is an origin story, taking us back long before the Autobot-Decepticon war, before the battle came to Earth, before there was even an Optimus Prime and a Megatron. We've never seen this side of the Transformers story in this way before. War against the Quintessons has left Cybertron ravaged, and most of the population exists underground and work in Energon mining camps. Only a few of the elite Transformers can even transform. And if you think an unfair class structure emerges from this dynamic, well, you'd be right. Before they were the greatest of enemies, Orion Pax and D16 were the best of friends. Together, they toil in the mining camps, causing trouble and dreaming of greater things. Orion is the mischief maker of the two, a far cry from the heroic Autobots roll out dude, while D16 is the one who usually bails him out. It all sounds so wild, right? One of Orion's many schemes drops the two into the annual Iacon 5000, in which Transformers compete for a grand prize awarded by Sentinel Prime, voiced by Jon Hamm, their leader and the last surviving Prime. Think of the pod races of the Phantom Menace, and you'll kind of get the idea. But it looks incredible and moves at the kind of blistering pace you can only get from such fluid animation. Ultimately, this doomed plot earns both global acclaim and stiff retribution. But it also leads Orion and D16 on a quest to find a lost artifact that can save Cybertron. It also pulls them into a vast political conspiracy involving the death of the Primes, the lost ability to transform, and begins the erosion of a friendship that once was as strong as brothers. It's a lot that Transformers 1 puts on its plate, especially when you consider the brief 100-minute runtime. And to be fair, not every thread gets pulled as tightly as it could be. I think the film could have used another hour and still not had enough to cover everything. The result is that you simultaneously love the amount of detail they put on building out the world of Transformers 1, while hating that they can't spend more time with other aspects. But there's a reason they did it this way. We've never had a look at the socio-political climate of Transformers before. We've never seen how the robots in disguise deal with an unfair system of government that places one group as humiliated workers and another as ruling elites. Everything that comes later we are at least somewhat familiar with, even if we've never seen them right from the earliest stages. We all know that eventually Orion Pax will become Optimus Prime, and that D16 will be Megatron, and that they will become to-the-death rivals. What Transformers 1 does is plant the seeds early, then lets us watch as they grow organically throughout the story. Henry is phenomenal in voicing D16, whose grievance at being a worker bot with no chance of advancement is what slowly eats away at him. It lays the groundwork for his eventual turn towards evil, but of course, it doesn't start out that way. The best villains don't actually see themselves as the bad guy, and that is definitely the case with D16. While more time could have been spent on D16's turn towards becoming Megatron, it makes complete sense and feels like the natural course of events. Less so is the turn Orion Pax makes towards becoming Optimus Prime. Not to say that it's bad, just less convincing because good guys are never as compelling. Orion starts out as devilish and funny, but his main attribute is that he's loyal and looks after the people he loves. It's this latter aspect that is leaned into most when it comes to his evolution. I'm not sure that's enough to make him the ultimate Autobot leader the film wants us to see him as, but I think they're leaning hard on our knowledge of who he ultimately becomes, and that's fair. All of the voice work is extraordinary, and that includes Hemsworth, who delivers Orion's bold speeches beautifully, as well as his many jokes and, when the time comes, his dismay over the course of events. The best gags go to Keegan-Michael Key as B-127, who eventually becomes fan-favorite sidekick Bumblebee. He's a completely awkward weirdo in this one, in keeping with the many different interpretations of the character. Also, Scarlett Johansson is excellent as Elita 1, a strict middle manager who becomes a true badass battlefield leader. Laurence Fishburne brings the perfect gravitas to the role of Alpha Trion, and Steve Buscemi has just the right petulant voice to play Starscream, in a scene that I hope hasn't been spoiled too much. Fans who know the antagonistic Megatron-Starscream dynamic will get a kick at seeing how it all began. Industrial Light and Magic has steadily improved in its visual presentation of the Transformers. They did the first 6 Michael Bay films, which started out looking like hot garbage but got better over time. But they are at their absolute best with Transformers 1, a visually breathtaking feast for the eyes. Using advanced technology developed over years of doing extraordinary work, the film looks more live action than the actual live action movies, like painted art come to life. In still frames, Transformers 1 looks awesome. In motion, it looks even better. I hope this becomes the standard for these movies from now on. Transformers 1 checks all of the boxes and should be a huge hit with longtime fans such as myself and newcomers being introduced to the story of Optimus Prime and Megatron. I had my doubts going in, but they are long gone, and I can't wait to see this story continue. Free of the need for exposition, the sequels can be even more intense, more action-packed, funnier, and yes, so much more than meets the eye. Transformers 1 opens in theaters on September 20th, and it gets a 4 out of 5. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.